This is a live Q&A where we'll be answering any and all questions that you have about applying to bring a show to Vault Festival in 2023. We'll be answering questions that have been sent in previously, and if you're joining us live, you can pop your question into the comments and we will get to them. We'll be here live until 1 p.m. today, and after the stream finishes, we'll make the live Q&A available here on Facebook, on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Vault Festival, and on our video resources for artists page at vaultfestival.com. So that's the housekeeping stuff out of the way. So let's do some introductions. Hello, my name is Beck Martin. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the head of programming for Vault Creative Arts and Vault Festival. I am a brown woman in her early to mid-30s, let's say mid-30s, with sort of wild curly hair, wearing an orange shirt in front of a white background, and sitting next to...
I am Andy George. I'm director and co-founder of Vault Creative Arts and Vault Festival. I am a white man in my early-ish 30s. more on the ish, and I have a branded Vault Festival t-shirt on, black t-shirt on, and I have floppy curly brown hair with a little bit of a unkempt, is that the right word?
Yeah, unkempt.
Yeah, I'll do. So what is Vault Festival? As a little bit of a starting, we'll introduce a little bit about what it is. Vault Festival is the leading independent showcase of live performance in the UK. It is returning to Waterloo, to the Vaults in Waterloo, as well as a few other venues in the surrounding area, from the Tuesday the 31st of January, and it will run through February and March. We are returning for the first time since 2021's festival was postponed, and then the cancellation of last year's festival due to the Omicron variant. So we are very excited to be back and to share lovely live performance across theatre, cabaret, comedy, performance art, circus, anything live and wonderful. We want it, and we want to show it. We want to show it and share it with the world. We are open for applications at the moment. Hopefully, if you're here, you're interested in applying. And our application process, it will close on 8 p.m. on Monday, the 18th of July, 2022. It's a little bit earlier than normal. We're trying to sort of give people more time after the application deadline to get their shows together. So beware, it is earlier than it has been in the past. So get on top of it and be prepared. But hopefully, we'll answer some of your questions here that will make your lives even easier to do it.
Cool. So a little bit about how we program in general, and how we'll be programming this year. So the majority of our theatre applications come from, the majority of our theatre programming rather, comes from open applications, which is applying through Vault Festival. We read those applications. We make sure that every application is read by at least 2 people, usually myself and an external reader who specialises in a particular area, whether that be physical theatre or cabaret or drag or circus or whatever that is, and from a variety of backgrounds and approaches. We program various strands. So we have a head of comedy who programs stand-up and improv and sketch comedy and digital comedy and all kinds of things like that. We have a head of late night programming who programs all the wonderful things that traditionally happen late at night, but might possibly happen in the day as well as at night, including drag and cabaret and burlesque and performance art and immersive work and great big parties and things like that. And then we have a programming coordinator who supports all of the programming, and that is the programming team. One of the things that Andy mentioned is that the applications are closing a little bit earlier, and part of that is also to allow companies that are programmed to have 2 rounds of Arts Council funding and to prepare, not only to be able to prepare their show, but to also be able to get their funds in place and to have as best a chance of the most amazing experience at Vault Festival as possible. So we'll be getting to your questions shortly. But for those who are new to Vault Festival and haven't applied before, we've made it as accessible and as straightforward as we can. So to apply to Vault Festival, you head over to our website, vaultfestival.com, and you click Perform with Us, or you can visit vaultfestival.com/apply. And we've put together a detailed application guide that tells you everything you need to know about applying to the festival to make sure that you give that a read before you get started on your application. I'd advise that you don't apply directly into the application, but you've got all of the questions there. You can write them out in a document and then pop your answers in. You can also apply via audio format or via video format. They're all submitted via Eventatron, which is the online arts management system that we use. And if you have any questions that aren't covered in the guide or that we haven't answered here, we'll also be hosting an Ask Us Anything session on Twitter from 12 to 1 on Tuesday, the 12th of July. So you can use the hashtag VaultConnect, so hashtag VaultConnect, to link up with like-minded artists. Look, we're not cool enough to be able to do that. And you can put out calls for producers, directors, actors, anything else using the hashtag VaultConnect.
Fantastic. Okay, we are going to get through to some of your questions. So we've got a few that have been sent in through in advance. Don't forget you can add questions using the comments below. And our wonderful head of comms, Josh, is picking those up for us. And so ask questions and we'll get to those as well. So we're going to start off by talking about sort of programming and application-based questions. We've then got a few marketing questions and a few front of house and production questions. So we're going to go through roughly in that order, and then we'll come to any sort of new questions towards the end.
So we were talking about changes made to the festival. So they include venues, they include longer slot times, they include longer turnaround times, they include earlier application process, as I mentioned earlier, so that artists have more time to secure funding and things and get their team together and get the show ready. Everything that we've done is to support artists in terms of being able to bring the best show and have the best possible experience at Vault Festival.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying, like, the idea is that from an audience perspective, the essence is still exactly the same, and it should still feel as fun and wild as it does. But hopefully, from an internal perspective, the artists should feel even more supported and even more kind of given an environment where they can flourish even more.
Yeah.
So, question number 2: do you need a complete creative team to apply?
No, absolutely not. You can apply as a playwright, you can apply as a director, you can apply with a full team. Or you can apply with 3 people confirmed and the rest in talks. What we would recommend you do on the application is, if you have started talking to people, list them on your application and you can just put in conversation or to be confirmed. If you haven't talked to anyone, that's still completely fine. I'd probably say don't make up a bunch of cool names, because we might be programming based on the idea that you have got Paul Rudd as the lead in your show. And if you can't confirm that, then maybe we need to have a conversation. But you absolutely don't need a full team to apply, and hopefully pushing applications back a little bit earlier will allow more time to put that team together.
Excellent. So question number 3, what makes a show a top pick for you at this moment?
Oh boy. This is an almost impossible question, because I don't know. What we aim for in programming is a variety of things. So a program that speaks to lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds, lots of types of audiences, lots of genres, lots of forms, different kinds of artists, all that kind of thing. Big variety in programming. So my personal preference might be durational performance art with projections that goes on for 24 hours. But the whole festival can't really be that, can it? Damn, so close. But so the answer to that is, what speaks to you as an artist? What are you passionate about making? The best shows that we've had are the shows that the artists are passionate about making. The other thing that I would say to that, that makes a top pick, is specificity. So stories that are really specific that then speak to a more universal theme or story.
Very sorry for the interruption so far. We have moved rooms to see if we can improve the Wi-Fi signal, which apparently is not playing ball today. So you can currently see our ode to the Les Mis set behind us, of piled up chairs. Anyway, so we will get back to answering your questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer more than just one at a time.
Yeah. We were talking about what makes a show a top pick, and anything that you're passionate about. And I was talking about specificity, so creating a specific story that speaks to a universal theme. But as I mentioned earlier, we have lots of different people reading the applications so that it is not, doesn't.
As well is in the application guide that Beck pointed you towards earlier on the website, there is 5 criteria that we look for when we are assessing applications. We look for the concept, we look at the quality, and whether and that generally kind of comes from be it extracts of the script or the team that may be involved, that sort of thing. Look at representation. What is the show doing for representation and working in representative ways? Is there an audience for it, and have the applicants? Maybe we're back.
We're going to give this one more go. What do you reckon?
One more go. Technology is not on our side today.
No.
But I was saying before about what we look for in applications. Yeah, so we had concept, we had quality, we had representation, we had audience, and then the and we look at whether whether Vault Festival is a good opportunity for the artist to apply. That could be through because they're trying new work, or it could be because they're trying something very different to what they've done before. So have a look at those in the application guide. Have a look at the kind of question guidance. There's a few prompt questions, and then also in the application guidance there's a little bit of some pointers about what the artistic things that we're looking for, and also what we don't look for as well. What we kind of avoid programming. So again, sort of have a look at those as well, and we've tried to be sort of as transparent as we can about how we score things, so people can be considering that when they're putting their applications in.
One thing that we don't program are classics, so we won't program a production of Hamlet or an adaptation of Kafka's The Trial. That's lots of places will, but we're not for that. So you can find all of that information in the app guide as well.
I can't believe we're only on question number 4. How do you decide which show goes into which space?
Lots of different things. There's an option on the app guide for you to put down your preference. Spaces are configured in different ways. So if you are looking for an end-on space or a thrust space or a traverse space or a promenade space, that will feed into what we decide. Also, the technical requirements of your show. For example, if you're doing a gig theatre show, some of our spaces are better equipped for that than others, just in terms of acoustics and the technology. There's lots of different ways.
Like Beck's saying, multiple ways. Ultimately, it's trying to find the show that's going to find the venue that's going to give the show the best chance of thriving.
Exactly that.
Whether that's the space it needs or the configuration or even the atmosphere. A lot of our spaces are inherently kind of atmospheric, and therefore we will kind of look for work that suits that environment, and kind of can bring out the best of the show rather than sort of fighting against it.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll put down a preference in your application, and when we've read the application we'll think, actually, maybe this show belongs in a different space, and we might offer you a different space and we can have a conversation about that. Okay,
question number 5. If you're applying with a new play, how finished does your script need to be? I mean, the question is a script ever actually finished? But I mean, if you're applying with a new play, how finished does your script need to be?
Not. It doesn't have to be finished at all. If you can give us an outline, if you can give us examples of previous work, anything like that, anything to support your application, but the script absolutely doesn't need to be finished.
It's worth saying there is space to attach supporting material, and if attach what you've got. Bear in mind that we won't be able to read full scripts. It is helpful if you have a full script to attach it still, even if we end up choosing bits and pieces from it, because it's quite interesting to see how we might be able to get a sense of the arc by reading snippets of it. Even if you only have an extract, attach it. It does give us a good sense of what the style, and how it might sort of translate on stage. So yeah, so attach whatever you have at the time of application. But yeah, definitely doesn't need to be finished.
Yeah.
Number 6. Now we're cooking
flying.
now. We're flying now. I am a playwright and would like to apply. This is Mark from Instagram. This isn't just me. So Mark from Instagram has asked, I am a playwright and would like to apply. Will Vault Festival produce my show?
No. No, we won't is the answer to that. We receive thousands of applications. We program anywhere between, I think in 2023 it will be between 350 and 500, I imagine, shows. We can't produce them, we're producing the festival. We have lots of mechanisms for you to be able to find a producer or self-produce, lots of workshops. At the top of one of these live videos before we got cut off, we said you can use the hashtag VaultConnect on Twitter or Instagram to be able to find producers. And there are lots of networking events that we provide, but the short answer is no, we don't produce your show.
What I would say is you can 100%, as Beck's saying, 100% still apply, and but the intention is that you would have to find a producer to work with. We really value the work of what a producer is, and actually for us to do it ourselves would mean we'd be doing a disservice to. We wouldn't be able to physically do it to start with, but the relationship between a writer and a producer is so critical that it's important that everyone finds their producer and works on builds that relationship. Number 7. Can an artist and/or company apply with more than one production?
Absolutely, yes. Yes is the answer to that. You can apply with as many productions as you want. One thing that we would take into account is the burden on your time and your capacity. And so if it's the exact same team and they've pitched 5 shows, it's unlikely that we will program all of them. So maybe we can have a conversation if you do get programmed with one that you think another one would have been more appropriate. We can have a conversation about that. But think about your time and capacity. We read each application on its own merit. So we've had plenty of companies in the past that have been programmed with a couple of things. So yes, you absolutely can. Just think about your own capacity and the ability to deliver that and the experience for the audience, and that you're not kind of splitting your time too much.
Now, do you accept applications from artists based outside of the UK?
Yes, we do, and we have had many at the festival. The caveat to that is that we aren't the Edinburgh Fringe. It's not a festival where loads of tourists flock to London to see Vault Festival. Our audiences are primarily London-based, so we would need to see a really strong and stringent marketing strategy for companies outside the UK and regional companies as well. One of our priorities is programming more regional work and being able to support that. But it is a reality that it is harder to get an audience at Vault Festival if you are not London based. So if you are applying in that way, have a think about what kind of marketing strategy you'd use, how you're going to get London audiences, and the venue that you pick and the length of run and all of that kind of thing. We also aren't able to provide accommodation and things like that for companies, so seeing a budget that we think you'd be able to deliver well is also quite important if you are applying from outside the UK.
Excellent. If I miss the application deadline, will you still read my application?
No is the short answer to that. On extremely rare occasions, perhaps, but as I said, we receive a lot of applications, and part of reducing the time So we used to be open for 2 months. Now we're open for 1 month. We're closing applications earlier. Part of that is to be able to set the program in stone a little bit earlier and provide more time for everybody, us internally, artists, all of that, to be able to deliver the festival. So get your application in on time.
What was it? 8 p.m. on the 18th of July is when applications close. So you have a few weeks. Final question at the moment in our programming section is how does, we've kind of partly already covered it already, but how does one go about finding a producer for your show?
Yes.
It is a
The
difficult
$64,000 question.
There is, as Beck said earlier, there is hashtag Vault Connect where you can find other people looking for other people looking to connect and using social media in that way. There are also a number of great producer programs. I think Pleasance have a good producer program.
Yes, they do.
So you kind of worth having a look at kind of alumni in there. But mostly it's just asking people, look at shows that you might be similar to yours, see who produce them, and approaching people. I think the similarity thing is really key because you want to find a producer that is kind of creatively interested in the work that you're going to be making. When you do find a producer, when you find your producer, I think my recommendation would just be having a really clear conversation of what you're looking for them to do. Are you looking for them to are you looking for them to do the contracting and negotiation with your team and bring the team together? Are you looking for them to fundraise? Are you looking to them sort of to get reviews and marketing done? Like, what is it you actually want them to do, and making sure you're engaging with them on a level from the off where it's clear what you want and what they are going to deliver. The times I've found our artists as part of the festival have kind of struggled a little bit is that they haven't had clear definitions with their producers as to actually what the producer's job is, because the role of producer changes every time you do it. Never quite the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And the option to self-produce is always there, and we have lots of resources available for how to do that, and kind of guides and support and things like that. So learning to self-produce on maybe a shorter run with a smaller capacity venue or things like that is also a really valuable skill, and absolutely being your show being self-produced does not preclude you from being part of the festival either.
There is no magic money producer tree.
No.
Unfortunately. We're going to segue into marketing. How did you want to answer?
Oh,
you go.
I'll be the reporter.
Okay.
How detailed does our marketing strategy need to be? Do you expect a clear timeline with what we will do when?
It's more of an indication than a commitment. We're not looking for you to sort of put down every single thing that you do, and we're not going to hold you to account on it. What it does is show us that you understand the importance of it, and you understand what you think you will be doing at what point. So it doesn't need to be granular to the point of every minute and every tweet you're going to be putting out, but we do need to see that you're seeing the importance of a variety of different approaches, the timeline of which things need to be done. So it doesn't need to be detail, but it does need to be enough that we can get a sense that you have an idea of what is entails in putting together a strong marketing strategy.
Yeah, and what I'd also say is, again, be specific about your marketing strategy. If your marketing strategy is this is a show for everyone and we'll market to everyone, that's a little bit of a red flag, because there's no such thing, and it tells us that maybe you haven't thought deeply enough about what kind of audiences you need to be connecting with and how. What is the best piece of marketing advice you can offer before the festival begins?
My advice would be to ask your friends directly to buy a ticket. We kind of now live in a world where social media has made it very easy to make announcements to everyone, which can work to some extent, but actually sending a direct message to your mate and saying, "Hey John, will you buy a ticket to my show?" means that John is much more likely to buy a ticket to the show than if we rely on just sort of blanket messaging.
Yeah.
The blanket messaging is important, and will kind of that will kind of maybe get other people who may not be connected to you. If you can get 20 people into every show you're doing, and from friends and family and from colleagues and students, etc., then at least you know that you are. For that point, you're just kind of getting then you can tap into new people. but being direct, not just relying on the anonymity of social media and the kind of blanketness of social media to actually get those 20 people in every show that you need to kind of create the foundation for which to kind of build other audiences on it. So a combination between specificity, as Beck was saying earlier, and blanket approaches to kind of combine those two.
Yeah, I think my best piece of advice would be grassroots marketing based on the themes, topics, issues, whatever of your show. So if you are making a queer cabaret for young South Asian people, think about where those community groups exist in London, where those people are gathering, where you might be able to get your message out to those particular groups. And it might be groups that are dealing with LGBTQI plus mental health. It might be groups that are sort of 50 plus theatre groups. It might, whatever it is, find those groups and talk to them directly. Don't just send an email. Don't, as Andy says, just tweet at them. Get your message directly in there, because the more personal the marketing, the more likely it is that people are going to engage. Front of house is our next topic. So, front of house, can we do bucket donations after our show, or a portion of ticket sales to be donated to a related charity?
Yes. In terms of bucket donations, totally possible. I would sort of suggest, as any charities you work with probably acknowledge the fact that people carrying less cash nowadays, so if you can do some sort of tappy device, you might get a little bit more, but bucket donations, absolutely. What we do, the only thing we ask is basically that we allow audiences to leave the venues quickly, so we can sort of begin the turnaround. So as long as it's not sort of holding people up from leaving, that's totally fine. Portion of ticket sales to be donated to relative charity, absolutely. It wouldn't be before the split. It would be kind of your split, but you can, in the most direct way possible, you can do what you like with your money. So yeah, if you want to give a portion of ticket sales to be donated to a related charity, then absolutely. A number of shows have done this in the past, and it's something we very much support. And yeah, so we're very happy to help sort of facilitate both of those things.
Great. Production and technical questions, Andy. Can set, costumes and props be stored at the venue?
Yes, we do have storage most of the time in each venue, sometimes in a sort of a room adjacent. It's limited to the fact that it's shared between companies. We haven't so far had an issue where we can't store something. But I'm sure there's something. I've now jinxed it. We'll now get an elephant coming through the room. Ultimately, it's worth bearing in mind that with whilst we have made changes to the turnaround times are still swift. There's still a kind of
you don't get 4
model.
hours.
No, and so set and props etc. sort of need to be able to be put out and packed up relatively quickly, and also need to be have built with a little bit of durability in mind to allow for that. So just keep that in mind as you're building your shows, which I'm sure if you're planning on touring them or taking to other fringe festivals you'll be thinking about anyway. But yes, they can be stored at the venue and then they can be picked up when your show has finished.
Fab. Question 15. Do venues come with an operator?
It's a really good question, and one that I actually don't have a finite answer on just yet. I'll tell you how it's currently working, and I'll also allude to what we're trying to achieve. But how it currently works is that artists have a choice whether they are self-sufficient and they can bring their own stage manager, etc., or they can also book people through us, book technicians or book an operator, etc. So the reason why we offer that is that some people want. If we insist on providing an operator, it doesn't work for every show, because some shows will want to bring a stage manager who knows their book, knows touring with them and that sort of thing. So that's why we kind of give artists a choice of which they want. If you book an operator through us, there is a charge for it. It's I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's modest in terms of it goes to paying the freelancer to be in that room with you. So that's kind of what we currently do. We are looking at seeing whether we can provide more sort of blanket operator support, but that's something that we aren't yet at a point where we can kind of say definitively either way, so I won't sort of say too much about that. Assume for now that it's the first answer, and then if we'll kind of change things, we'll let you know if we change, if we are able to make those changes.
Fab. Can I see the venue before applying?
Beck's got a funny story about this.
I'm going to sound like such an idiot.
The short answer is not before applying, and because, Beck, do you want to tell your story?
Yes, I'm Australian, and when I first moved here, I took a show to the Edinburgh Festival, and I didn't know the Edinburgh Festival, and I drove up with my partner in February and showed up at the venue and said, can I have a look at it so I can direct this show? And they said, it doesn't exist, it's a conference centre. So we went and drank wine and cheese in Edinburgh, and I felt like an idiot.
So the reason, so at the moment the venues don't exist, but 90% of them don't exist. There are some that kind of we work with that are operate as venues throughout the year, but we build all our venues from scratch, we build all our bars from scratch, we build our box offices from scratch, so the venues can't be viewed in person before. What I would say is go online, go onto our website. There is a venues page under the Perform With Us. You can see photos of all the venues that have existed before. You can see the tech specs of what they were last time we ran the festival, which are kind of being updated as we speak. And you can kind of get a little bit of sense of what they will look like, and sort of dimensions and various things. So we try and keep the website as sort of up to date as possible. As I sort of alluded to, there are changes happening where we're kind of where there are new venue configurations. So, for example, the Fairground and the Crypt that we sort of spoke about earlier. You can see kind of an artist's impression of what what it might look like. Because we don't have photos just yet. But yes, have a look at the venues page on the website, and that will be your best chance of seeing stuff before you apply. When shows are selected, we do open days when we've kind of got the program. So those will take place in sort of December and January, where people can come down and see the spaces. Again, the venues won't be installed by that point, but people can come down and ask questions, meet the technical team, and just also get a sort of sense of the space that they're going to be in, even if it doesn't look entirely like it will at the point of the festival. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Are the venues wheelchair accessible?
The venues that we build are wheelchair accessible. Some of the venues that we work with are down in basement spaces, for example, and so they are not wheelchair accessible. Again, on the venues page of a website, we've tried to sort of state whether it is accessible for both audiences and performers, because sometimes it is a bit different. So it's slightly difficult to kind of give a blanket answer without running through in each one individually, which the venues page sort of does for me. But if you have any questions relating to accessibility, particularly around that, if you drop us an email on programming inquiries at vaultfestival.com, we're very happy to sort of give some specificity on which, if you're interested in a specific venue, we can say yes or no whether it's wheelchair accessible. But it is also on the website as well, on the venues page, to have a look at.
So we've got some questions from one of the chats of this live. I think we'll answer the second one first, which is from Tash. Is there an age limit to apply to the festival?
No.
No.
Limit? I guess, yeah, absolutely not.
Upper limit? No.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. Younger limit, 18.
Yeah.
You are for our insurance. You do need to.
It's amazing how many things come back to insurance.
Yeah, you do need to be 18 or over. That's not to say that you cannot have young people in the show, that you can't have that we can't have younger audiences. We've had both of those things in the past, but for the company applying, 18 and over. But upper limit, absolutely not.
And we had another question. I'm going to say it's Tamarama. Not quite sure if I'm getting the name right, but
Tamarama's a town in Australia.
Maybe link to that. Will you be including digital shows in the 2023 festival? The application says you are. Are there suggestions you have for artists who apply to bring a digital show to the festival in terms of filling out the application?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes, absolutely. obviously the world and the industry has changed over the last 2 years. Excuse me, I drank too much Diet Coke and now I've got burps in my chest. And so we don't exactly know what kind of digital work we're looking for, as we've not had a particular digital strand in the past. One thing that I would say is that every show needs to have a live element. It can't just be a screening of a show that you filmed beforehand. There has to be some engagement or live element while you're doing it, whether that be some kind of live stream that audiences in different countries are answering questions or participating in or engaging in. I don't know. I don't necessarily know the answer to that.
I think just to build on that, I think so how we describe it, sort of digital live hybrid.
Yes.
A live show that is enhanced by digital technology that might reach across the world, or it might reach across the city, or even just to the audience's hands. Or it might be a digital show that has a live element as well. So that's what we're particularly interested in. We're interested in the kind of the cross section between where digital and live can intersect. As Beck says, we're not particularly well placed, or even necessarily the right platform for to just show plays on the TV. Netflix is great at doing that, and the National Theatre is great at doing that.
Yeah.
What we are interested in is how can innovation and how can digital and live combine to kind of make something quite special.
Yeah. We also, as you will know, are underground, and so the Wi-Fi or the internet can be a little bit spotty. So there'd need to be a discussion about exactly what your requirements are and how we can support that. We can't live stream One Man, Two Guvnors with 4 cameras from the Olivier Theatre, for example. That's just not something that we're set up for. But I think that segues nicely into, can vault shows be live streamed?
Which the short answer is yes. It is possible, and we've facilitated it in the past. Some of the venues do have slightly better internet than the others, so it would be, again, it's something to include if that is something you want to do, to include it in your application, so you can consider that when we are programming. The short answer is yes, and we can help facilitate the booking links, and we can help facilitate the sort of box office functionality side of things. I think that's all I'm going to say on that one for now.
Yeah, I think the broader point about digital is that that's not something that we have historically put a lot of into our programming. So if you've got a really fabulous digital idea, or you've been working in kind of digital live hybrid theatre for the last 2 years, or been really innovative, or known people that have been really innovative, absolutely apply and show us what we're missing and what we need to be doing to step up to that, because at the moment, certainly it's not my area of expertise, and I would love to include more of that. So I can't be very specific in terms of what we're looking for digital. I don't know. So you tell me what I'm looking for and I'll program it.
Okay, I think we might have gotten through the questions that have come through in advance and in the chat. So we're going to sort of start. I'm going to fill some time just in case there's any more questions come through, but we'll sort of begin the sign off. This is your warning, warning number 1. So thank you for joining us and for your questions. We hope this has all been useful for you all. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties we've been having.
I really dig this aesthetic, though.
Yeah.
I'm very into the barricade.
It sort of feels like my bedroom.
Oh my God, why do you have so many chairs in your bedroom? Is that for people to watch?
So don't forget, if there's anything we haven't covered today, you can visit vaultfestival.com/apply to read our application guide. It covers everything you need to know about applying to the festival, and we'll make this video available on our Facebook page and on our video resources for artists page. That's also on our website under the Perform With Us subheading. So vaultfestival.com, Perform With Us, and there's video resources, there's the application guide, there's all sorts of things. There's the venue lists as well. So we'll also be hosting an AMA or Ask Us Anything session on Twitter from 12 to 1 on Tuesday, the 12th of July. And as mentioned, you can use the hashtag VaultConnect to link up with like-minded artists and put the call out for producers, directors, actors, etc. Don't forget, the deadline for applications for Vault Festival 23 is 8 p.m. on Monday, the 18th of July 2022. And as Beck was saying earlier, don't be late. Make sure you get it on the time because we won't be able to read applications that are submitted past the deadline.
In regards to the Twitter AMA, you can absolutely submit questions from now up until then. Just use the hashtag VaultConnect, and we will make a list of questions that have been asked in advance as well as the ones that we get at the time. And you can always shoot a question to programminginquiries@vaultfestival.com.
Thank you very much for joining us, folks. We very, very, very much look forward to reading applications from you all. It is genuinely a privilege to see so many wonderful creative ideas and the creative energy that kind of comes from them all. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you for taking the time to share your ideas with us, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Alrighty, we are going to sign off.
Bye.